What is up, guys? I'm Kyle Mylan. If you guys are in technical sales or aspiring to be in technical sales, if you're an industrial marketer,
if you are struggling with figuring out the difference between selling and marketing,
I'm going to give you some key tips and strategies on how to do it. What's the best and fastest way to get signed up as a vendor for a new customer prospect? Depends on the vendor. Don't focus on necessarily like the speed, right? Because if you're going into it like, I need customers right now, you're going to be doing short-term plays for short-term solutions. As always, guys, we go live twice a week. Mondays is all about Q&A. Wednesdays are about either industrial marketing or technical sales. Go to the YouTube channel. I've got over 250 videos, and that number keeps on climbing. And we put all this content out there every single week for free. I appreciate you guys joining. I appreciate you guys watching the content, sharing it with anybody that you know, and we will see you on the next one. What is up, guys? I'm Kyle Mylan, and sorry that we're a little bit late. Technical difficulties, but that's all good. We are here. Now, this episode, we're talking about hiring a team and assigning responsibilities. So if you are a manufacturing or industrial company and you're building out a team or shifting some things internally with your team, then on this episode, we're going to cover some areas that we've helped our clients and issues that I've dealt with personally. So for this episode, I have no notes. We can just throw those away because I was busy basically, and we're busy as an agency. And so we come every week, twice a week. This past Monday, we didn't come because I was out of town, but we come twice a week to bring any additional knowledge, some value that we can share with you guys to help you out on your journey. And sometimes we get behind the 8 ball because we're working on our client stuff, and that happened today. So it's going to be a little bit of a rant, so bear with me. I'm sure there will be something valuable in this episode that you're going to get out of it. And then, as always, we will be taking live questions in the comment section. You guys, please feel free to throw those blue thumbs up on LinkedIn if you're coming from LinkedIn, and leave a comment in the comment section if you guys have any questions, if there's issues that you've been dealing with and you want my input on what I would do in your shoes. Leave them in the comment section, and Laura will get to appear on camera again and answer or ask those questions, and then I'll answer them. So jumping into it, hiring a team. This is something that has become more difficult in the last 2 years. And I think it's crazy. And especially from a manufacturing industrial standpoint, I never thought that we would get here to where it's like having trouble finding people that want to work in the office for office type jobs. Now, salespeople typically, like when I was in sales, I was always remote. I had an office, but I was always remote because I was either traveling or I was working from home remotely, whether I was out of state or not. And then coming into the office as needed. That's pretty common in technical sales. There are still some old school manufacturing companies that are like, nope, if I'm paying somebody $100,000 a year, I want their butt in a seat when they're not traveling. That to me is crazy, and that stuff needs to change. But for the other departments, unless you're in like operations and stuff, there's so many people now that are like, I want to work remote 100%, or I don't want to come into the office every single day, which I think is insane for this industry. But this is what COVID kind of did. All across the board. We've dealt with this here at the agency where there's people that are just like, nope, I'm only looking for remote work. I don't want to come into the office. I like being at home, which I totally get. And so we've had to balance where it's like, hey, if you're local and you're coming into the office, you don't have to come 5 days a week because it's not necessary for most jobs. You can do it remote 1 or 2 days a week, and that typically gives people a balance. But I feel the pain from a hiring standpoint, trying to find the right fit. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, you can look at 100 resumes and go through like, oh, do these people meet the criteria of the prerequisites and the experience and all that stuff? But then once you start interviewing them, it's like the personality comes out and you're just like, that's not a fit for our culture. Which I've made the mistake numerous times, brought people into the business and I thought it was good, get them into it, and then they just flop, and then it's not a fit for the culture, and it just causes more disruption and things like that, and that'll just kill any sort of timeline that you have. But how do you overcome that? Like, what steps can you do as a hiring person to try and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and trying to make the best decision possible? I would say first thing is to a certain extent, ignore the experience first and look at the personality and look at the person's drive, their motivation to work, things that they aspire to be. Asking them questions about what do they want to be in 3 years, 2 years, where do they want to see their career trajectory go, and see if that aligns with the position or the type of culture that you guys have. Because if you're looking for somebody that is looking to grow and expand and take on more responsibilities, but then when you're interviewing people are like, no, I just want to do this for the next 5 or 10 years, maybe that's not a fit. It just all depends on what you're going into. So from technical sales and industrial marketing standpoint, you have to look at it and make sure, like, if somebody comes in and says, like, I could do all your social media or I could do web development, SEO, but you want them to evolve and expand and take over other areas in the next 2 years, and that doesn't really fit with them, then that would just be a bad hire from the get-go. So I always say you can certainly look at people's experience and say, at a minimum, you need to be able to do these 3, 5 things. You need to have experience in this industry or doing these things. But really, for me, and what I've learned over the last 3 years, is it comes down to the personality of the person. I did this when I was in plastic sales. I looked for people that have drive, motivation, and ambition, and less about, like, I could teach somebody how to sell and I could teach somebody the technical stuff. I will take somebody that has drive and motivation from a sales standpoint over somebody that says, I know all this technical stuff, because you can't typically put drive into somebody, right? Like, either they have it or they don't. Either they want to expand and evolve as a person and continue learning new skills and things like that, or they're just happy with where they're at and they just want to continue to ride out, let's say, mediocrity. So I always look at it from the standpoint that if somebody has drive and they're willing to learn and they want to be better and they want to make a lot of money and they want to continue to grow, that's the first criteria for me from a sales standpoint. And then once you get into it, once you have that bucket list put together, then you can say, like, okay, so from these 4 people, from these 2 people, now who will take less time to train, right? Who can come in with some foundational knowledge of things and hit the ground running, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it, they can go and start making things actually happen for your business. Same thing from a marketing standpoint. You can bring somebody in, and if they have drive to learn and they want to evolve and expand, but they only have a little bit of the experience, but you could teach it to them easily, I will take that person and put them at the top of the list, because those people are the ones that, as new stuff comes up, which everybody knows, like, your job description isn't just what you do, like, it evolves and expands and adapts based on the business goals that you have and how your company continues to expand, then I want that person to be able to be flexible to adapt to that. But how do you get, like, if that's your process, you're like, all right, I got my process down, I know how I'm going to get these people. Once I find them, I know how I'm going to be selective over who I bring onto the team. How do you attract new people, especially from a manufacturing and industrial standpoint? How do you bring in the right people and get them to want to work for you and apply and stand out from all the competition? For me, it just comes down to brand awareness. Like, for us, am I trying to hire people and, like, look at my brand, look at my brand? Like, they can see the content that we produce, but like, I'm not concerned about it from the standpoint of our agency versus other agencies, because we are that niche, right? MFG Tribe is just an industrial marketing agency. That's all that we work with. So for me, when I ask them a question of what we do, to some people can be kind of boring. Are you interested in doing that on a daily basis? If they say yes, then we're good to go. So I don't have to focus. I could show them content that we create and say, this is our brand, this is our culture, here's some of our employees, and things like that. But for manufacturing companies, you're going up against everybody. So you got to look at your hourly rate, your salaries, your competitiveness, your benefits, all that stuff, the work-life balance, which I don't necessarily 100% agree with, but the balance of flexibility of remote versus in person. But how do you stand out as a manufacturer versus the other manufacturer in your town that is offering the same thing from a benefit standpoint? And it comes down to creating content. We've created so much content for some of our clients where it's like the job that they're looking to hire, whether it's a fork truck operator or a sales engineer or a marketing person, we will create a video specific for that job, interviewing people at the company that either currently do that job or would work with that individual, to try and promote it to where somebody can see, before I even step foot in, I can get a vibe for the culture, right? You can say the culture is like this on paper, but if I see a video with it, then I can really get a sense and make my own judgment on what is that culture actually like. So standing out, it's no different than marketing or selling to try and get customers. You're trying to get employees. The only way to do that is to create content, For this instance, I would say don't do anything written, just focus on video and how can you capture the culture, capture how cool it is to work here, show different aspects of it, interview people that currently have that job or the boss that you might have. If they're going to talk to HR first, interview the potential hiring person and ask them things that they're looking for, ask them what's it like to work with them, and just put that information out there so you can try and attract as many people as possible. Now, from a responsibility standpoint, once you get these people in, we've worked with so many manufacturing companies where it's like, all right, I've got all these things I need done. Who do I give what, right? It kind of has to fit their personality, but you have to look at it from a standpoint of like, is this important for me to keep internal, or can I outsource this to somebody else? So from our standpoint as a manufacturing agency or a marketing agency for manufacturers, it comes down to like, you need a marketing coordinator, director of marketing, VP of marketing, whatever, but do you need a team of 6 internally, or can you get away with a team of 2 and bring on an agency that at the end will be cheaper than those internal employees, but can produce more things with it, right? Because we've got the team here of video, content, written content, web, SEO, all that stuff, social. We've got a team and it's a fraction of the cost of what it would be to hire people to do those individual tasks. So you really have to look at it from the standpoint of, these are the responsibilities, this is what I need to get done. Who can do what on my team and what do I have to go outside for? This is strictly for the marketing department. Now on the sales side, you need to say, all right, what do I need? I need a hunter, right? I need somebody that's going to drum up business. I need somebody that's going to boots on the ground, smiling, dialing on the phone, whatever it takes. I need these people in this role. And it's great. You find those people, you bring them in, interview them, you say, this is my guy, this is my girl, this is what I'm going to go with. And they get in the job and they start to close some business, but you don't have the proper support systems in place to keep them on with their hunting opportunities and trying to get more business. Then they become an account manager and they're just sitting in the office every single day managing the accounts that they've brought in. So like they hunted, they killed the sale, they brought it in, and now they're just sitting there managing it. That is not what you want to do. A true hunter wants to continue to get new business. So you have to make sure that the support system, whether it's project engineers or customer service reps or anything like that, quoting people are underneath that position to where they can support it. They don't have to directly report to it, but they can support that position where it's like, dude, your job is to bring in new opportunities and new business. I've got a team that's going to quote it. I've got a team that's going to take it if you land it as a customer. I've got customer service people that will take care of it once they become a new customer and they're paying us and we're running production or we're installing the system or something like that. And that allows that person to be freed up with their time. So you have to really look at like the whole sales process and say, this is what it is from start to finish. Like maybe you've got good salespeople, but they refuse to do cold calls, right? Maybe you need to bring in somebody that only does cold calls. Maybe you need to hire an agency that does cold calls for you or does lead generation like MFG Tribe, and we do it for you. So the sales people can focus on closing business and having conversations and doing demos and things like that. And so you have to look at your team and say, all right, these guys, this is their responsibility. And I'm going to peel this part off and let an outside agency do this. And then once they become a customer, I've already got the support team to be able to take this from a initial kickoff into a full-blown production or installation or whatever it is. As long as you have those things in place, and you shouldn't run into too many issues. But like I said, it all starts with, number one, figuring out your criteria of who you're going to hire. Number two, attracting people to be able to come to your company, what separates you. And number three, what are the responsibilities and how are you supporting those different roles? So we want to go into the comment section now. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be back in about 90 seconds.
Polyurethane should actually last you, depending upon the application, 5 to 10 years, maybe 15. In some cases, we've heard 20. It's our job to make sure that we give you the correct formulation.
Whatever the customer needs, we figure out what properties will fill that application, and then we formulate accordingly. Sometimes that's TDI, sometimes it's MDI, ether or ester. The various curatives impart different physical properties, and we also can blend the curatives to kind of tweak those properties to optimize what the customer wants.
I like being a part of that process. I like it when our customers can buy a product from us and have that confidence, that the folks at PSI Urethanes, they got us what we needed. They asked the right questions, and it makes me feel good. I know it makes our staff feel good knowing that we're providing peace of mind for our customers, and our customers are having a good experience with theirs.
What we're going to do is we're not only going to get you the right product, but we're going to save you from having to repeat buy in a short period of time, and or save you downtime, and or save you manpower. That's why it's important to pick the right formula.
Are we live? I'm just kidding. Yeah, I know we're live. All right, comment section. Anything, Laura? Laura's gonna flip the screen. Oh, there's Laura.
At the moment, there are no comments.
Guys, give me one comment. Just be like, I love the switching screens back and forth. I love seeing Laura's camera angle because she can do it like, show them, Laura, back and forth. She can just flip back and forth because we got this fancy black box thing. So there we go. Laura, no comments yet. Somebody leave a comment. Otherwise, I'm out of here.
No comments, but I saved some questions that came in like at the last minute last week if you want to answer
All right,
one of
let's
those.
do it. Let's do it. Let's see what they are.
Okay.
Have they been screened? Have these questions been screened? They're not, they don't suck, right?
I don't think it sucks.
Okay, let's hear it.
Someone asked what you think about sales playbooks for sales staff.
Ooh, that's a new one. Sales playbooks. Man, I dealt with that like 7 years ago at my last job. We had this whole app that was like a playbook. I think playbooks can be good. They can also be very expensive to create, but I think playbooks can be good because depending on what this person was talking about, from what I've seen, playbooks are in some sort of digital system, and then salespeople have an iPad or something like that where it's got their presentation on it, some brand collateral, things like that, and they've got this playbook that can walk them step by step throughout the process. So I think if the content is good, it could be good to have a playbook. Years ago, probably 5 years ago, we used to create sales playbooks, but I feel like 5 years ago it was a little bit ahead of its time for industrial, and then I just removed it as a service. But yes, I think playbooks can be good. It's good to be able to have, like, allowing your sales engineers and your business development managers to be able to be in the field, traveling, and be able to have everything at their fingertips on an iPad to be able to flip through stuff. Now, it depends on the content. If the content sucks, then it's going to be of no value. I've seen some sales playbooks that are extremely built out to where it's going into different steps, like what's the first step of the sales process, and like once you do that, you click a button and it goes to the next thing, and you're like swiping through the presentation and showing them while you're walking on the production floor. Those things can be extremely beneficial. It just comes down to your own use case scenario. Like, I think anybody that's going into the plant floor, having an iPad with all their technical information or everything at their fingertips is awesome, because you can answer questions on the spot if you need to. But it just, again, it furthers those conversations that you're having with people if the content is good. That's what I think, Laura. Second question, she's flipping the camera.
It just looks like we have some loyal watchers.
We got some
commenting.
loyalty?
Yeah,
What are they
Alex
saying?
says he loves our camera skills.
Is that our, oh, Alex,
Yeah,
our
I think
Alex.
it's our Alex.
Yeah.
And Greta said hi. Hi, Greta.
Yeah. What's up, Greta? So at least we got part of our team jumping into this, leaving comments. They're just starting it off. That's it? I thought we had 2 questions from last week.
Oh, I can go.
It's so, like, from my standpoint, when I look to the team and they go like this, I'm like, all right, am I going to close it out now? And then somebody's going to leave a comment. I'm going to do my whole, we'll see you on the next one. And then boom, somebody leaves a comment and then it just gets forgotten.
All right. The other question I saved from last week, someone asked, what do you think about a company that only pays their employees commission?
Oh, I think we did cover that last week. I feel like I did. I can cover it again, but I think that's stupid. Oh, that was Q4. Oh, yeah, that's right. Somebody said only commission in Q3 and Q4, something like that. Okay, so somebody that only pays commission, depends on the job, depends on the company. That's one of those things where like the company's not willing to really risk their own finances to put it into the faith that somebody's going to do what they are paid to do, and they're looking to minimize that risk by saying like, look, I don't have the money, or I don't want to invest the money into paying you 2, 3, 5, 6 grand a month. So you're going to work based off of only commission. I feel like there's sales reps that do that, right? If you have like a repping company, you're only commission 5%, 10% commission as a rep. But I feel like if you're an employer or you're going to work for a company, it's only commission. Like to me, that makes me think of like cold calling jobs you find on Craigslist, right? Like, or something shady like that, or like, hey, like these kids now that come through my neighborhood every single summer that are selling pest control services or mosquito control services, and they ring their doorbell and they're like, yeah, I'm in the area. Your neighbor John just signed up for our service, and if I book today, it's only $3.95 instead of $6.95. Like that's all commission based stuff. They're not paying those kids to do that. It's all commission. So I feel like in the industrial manufacturing world, you need a base salary to be able to attract the right talent. The guys that can perform from a sales standpoint will not typically take a commission only job. Most likely you have to look at it from the standpoint of, if you're trying to attract top earners and top performers, they're already making, and I dealt with this when I was in sales, already making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. And if you want to steal them from that company, what are you going to do to offer to them? Because like, if I've got a book of business and I'm making 200 grand commission with 125K base, I'm making 325, and you want to come and hire me, I'm leaving that money on the table. I'm leaving my commission that's already existing. So what are you going to do? And if it's like, I'm going to pay you commission only, it ain't going to happen. You're going to get people that are somewhat desperate for a job, I think, and which is fine if you're like really hunting for a job and you'll take commission only. That's great, but you better perform like in day number 2 once you get access to the content. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So I would not advise anybody to take that. Depending on if there's some specific situation where it makes sense, then maybe it could work. But I would say for the most part, no to commission only. Laura's getting excited, so we must have a comment.
Yeah, I got not a little question. With a possible slowdown looming, what is the best way to develop and hire an internal sales team to build towards a long-term customer relationship? Then they added and said, finding work is not difficult now, but what about 6 months from now?
Yeah, I mean, who sent that? Oh, I've got it here. Tony Lyons. With possible slowdown looming, what is the best way to develop and hire an internal sales team to build towards a long-term customer? Yeah, I mean, so like, yeah, everybody's talking about the recession is coming and stuff like that. I feel like if you're planning for something to happen, then you're just putting out there that it's going to happen, and you're going to possibly miss opportunities. So I would never say go into something and say, I know that this is going to happen, so I'm going to hold back now, or I know it's going to happen, because you really don't know. Like people have been talking about this stuff for years, because it's like always been the 8 to 10 year cycle of like the recession goes up, and then 8 to 10 years later, there's a huge dip and things happen. But you don't know if it's going to be your industry, is it going to be the housing market, is it going to be like it was in 07 with automotive and stuff like that. So you don't really know. But I would say to answer the question of best way to develop and hire an internal sales team to build towards a long-term customer relationship, if you for that standpoint, like, are you going to build a sales team and then once they get customers, move them into a customer experience manager or customer service rep? Because like if they're a support position, then it just comes down to answering questions as fast as possible and giving people the customer service that they are used to from a consumer standpoint, right? Like people expect 1 to 2 day shipping. People expect to be able to get an answer to their question at their fingertips. So I'm not saying you have to go crazy with it, but if you're looking to build customer loyalty, then you need to look at it from the standpoint that like these people, salespeople you're bringing in, they need to be customer service orientated, and the mindset is different than if they're a salesperson that's going to be adding new business and hunting for new business. The rest of your question, finding work is not difficult now. What about, yeah, I mean, I would just say that do whatever you can now to make yourself somewhat bulletproof from anything that happens in the economy. And people are probably watching this like, there's no way to do that. I mean, there's ways to do it to where it affects you less, right? Like if you really think something's going to happen in 6 months, which nobody knows, just what the quote unquote experts say, then focus on what you can do right now. So like build out your team. I could turn that back to you and be like, well, what happens when you have to fire 3 of them or lay off 3 of them because the recession hit so hard? Like you just did all that work and then now you don't have anybody to do the work for you. But I would say focus on hiring the right people for those jobs. Customer service is different. Salespeople should be customer service mindseted, but if they're hunters, they're going to want to hunt for new business, pass it along. This team that you're trying to build internally, just look for people that are quick to respond, that pay attention, that are detail orientated, that can do project management type stuff. So not saying that they are project managers, but can they juggle multiple tasks? Can they have 6 different customer things going on at once and be able to tell you what's going on? Those are the types of skill sets that I would look for, and always putting the customer first and responding as fast as possible is really all anybody wants at the end of the day. We good? I got a thumbs up from Laura, so that means it's time to do my 30-second closeout. So guys, go over to the YouTube channel. We have over 250 videos. Subscribe to it, turn on notifications. Don't forget about the podcast. I feel like I'm just like a salesman right now. Like list out the list. Podcast, go see it. YouTube, go to it. LinkedIn, check out my LinkedIn profile and look at the last thing we posted this morning and look at that video that Laura did that is a little bit funny, which is different from what we're posting. So check out that, because I asked people to engage on it so that way Laura can get some props for creating something that's completely different. So check that out. Send me a connection request. If you're on LinkedIn and you're in industrial manufacturing, send me a connection request if we're not already connected. If you are not in industrial or manufacturing or technical sales or marketing, don't send me a connection request, because I'm most likely not going to accept it because I don't have time to be sold to from different industries. So with that being said, we go live Mondays and Wednesdays at noon Central Standard Time. We will be back next Monday for our live Q&A show, which you need to send those questions over to askkyle@mfgtribe.com, and we will see you on the next one.